Time for one last secret. How do you make really great tasting vinaigrettes like they serve at a restaurant? I talk about this all the time, Ryan, that if a restaurant doesn't make at least one homemade or house dressing, I'm not going to go back there, because I think that that's an important thing. It kind of reflects the restaurant, and I think that that's the one thing that they could do. You know,
Yeah.
I don't want one of those chemically, dressings. I'm a big fan of homemade dressings. So, and you guys make homemade dressings at the restaurant.
A lot of them, especially all our vinaigrettes. You know, to me, a vinaigrette is so basic. You should be able to make it in your restaurant and at home too. And you know, when you make it yourself, you know exactly what we're putting into it. Like this one, we have vinegar, we have oil, we have salt and pepper, we have a little bit of mustard seed and some basil. You go buy a balsamic and basil vinaigrette at the grocery store, I'm sorry, you're going to look at the back, and you know, you're going to see things that
weird stuff.
Yeah, weird stuff.
words. Not good.
They're all stabilizers.
Yeah.
And what we're going to show here is that you can use something that's laying around in your spice cupboard that you probably haven't used in a year to help stabilize your vinaigrette, and that's ground mustard.
So this is something that we all have ground mustard, dried mustard in our pantry. Sometimes I'll use it a little bit in mac and cheese, or like you said, crab cakes, but it's something I don't use very often. But it's a great thing to bring your salad dressing together.
Yeah, because I mean, if you can imagine an emulsion being, okay, so if you see oil and water, you know, they always separate, or your vinaigrette separates. So let's imagine a big ball pit, like you take your kids to Chuck E. Cheese or something like that. You know how the balls are different colored and they're mixed together. Imagine if it was one black ball and one yellow one, or three, you know, so we have three parts of oil to one part of vinegar. So we have one black and three yellow, and they're just big. That's not going to mix very well in that ball pit. But imagine if we broke them into a million little pieces, you're going to be able to stir them all together, and it's going to look like a big homogeneous pot.
Let's get to it.
And that's what we're doing with this blender, is we're breaking our molecules of this vinegar down to millions of little pieces and breaking our oil down to millions of little pieces, so they mix together better.
So first we do our balsamic vinegar, then a dry mustard.
We would add our dry mustard, and what the dry mustard does is it helps that emulsion stay together. By the protein and the carbohydrates are in it, help those molecules stick together instead of repel each other.
Would regular Dijon mustard also work?
Yep.
Okay.
Or even, you know, the yellow salad mustard. That
wouldn't taste quite as good, but yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And at this point, you could also put a little pinch of salt and pepper in there. And if you're one that liked it sweeter, you could also add a little sugar or honey at this time. But I don't think we need that with this one, because balsamic's pretty sweet.
Okay.
So we're going to go
First start with the vinegar and the spices.
So we haven't added all our oil yet, but we can see at this point our emulsion is so stable right now, we're actually getting thick and almost creamy.
And look at how thick and creamy this is. And then you could throw in some herbs if you wanted.
Yeah, so what we could do is finish adding our oil. It's going to get really thick, but if you ever end up adding too much and your vinaigrette gets thick, don't add any more vinegar, don't add any more oil.
You're good.
Just add water.
Okay.
It's the only time you're really going to want to add just table or tap water to something to thin it out.
We are out of time, but you know what?
Talk too much.
Nope, that's all right. We'll have you back again to make your meatloaf. Thanks so much, Ryan.
Thank you.
You can find them at Mahoney's.
Mahoney's in Oshkosh.